anniversary of the dropping of the nuclear bombs in Japan during World War II. And we are here to call attention that it's time to end nuclear weapons development. The Obama administration has continued the expansion and revitalization of the nuclear weapons program, and his administration has said they continue to expect to increase spending on nuclear weapons. These nuclear weapons and nuclear power, more funding goes to that than goes to education, healthcare, social services, scholarships, transportation combined. And we are saying it's time to stop spending money on nuclear weapons, which are only used to destroy people, and to start spending money where it's really needed on infrastructure and on meeting the needs of regular people in the 99%. So we are out here with marching around General Electric. General Electric is one of the foremost developers and suppliers of nuclear power and nuclear weapons.
The most horrific war crimes!
Of one of the most horrific war crimes!
Ever committed!
Ever committed!
The U.S. bombing!
The U.S. bombing!
Of the civilian population!
Of the civilian population!
Of Hiroshima!
Of Hiroshima!
During which approximately 140,000, excuse me!
140,000,
Civilians were murdered!
Civilians were murdered!
Thousands more died later!
Thousands more died later!
Of cancer!
Of cancer!
And other effects of radiation!
And other effects of radiation!
This was destruction!
This was destruction!
Only equal 3 days later!
Only equal 3 days later!
By the U.S. bombing of Nagasaki!
By the U.S. bombing of Nagasaki!
My name is Tom Syracuse. I'm the acting chair of Shut Down Indian Point Now, a grassroots organization here in New York City. We have to get off nuclear power completely. It's claimed that it is clean and safe. It's neither clean nor safe. It's not clean because nuclear power plants are prone to many kinds of accidents which give off radiation to contaminate the environment. It's not safe because if one of those nuclear power plants has a serious accident, it's not just a serious accident, it's a catastrophe.
We don't want a nuclear meltdown, we say no, no, no. We don't want a nuclear meltdown, we say no, no, no. That man's t-shirt says never again.
That man's t-shirt says never again! But unfortunately,
our continued development of nuclear weapons,
our continued development of nuclear weapons,
and our continued reliance on nuclear power,
and our continued reliance on nuclear power,
has made this world in an even more precarious position than we were during the Cold War.
The pollution from nuclear energy, unfortunately, is invisible. However, that does not make it any less dangerous. We need a world of renewable energy, no nuclear power, no fossil fuels, and spending billion with a B, on expanding nuclear weapons capacity is insane.
The disaster at Fukushima exposed the fact that there is no such thing as safe nuclear energy. The people of Japan have been forced to relive the terror of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All over again.
I'm here today to remember the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki that were killed by the first atomic blast. And because I recognize it's very much a danger today with what's happening in the Middle East, people talking about bombing Iran, and and I find it all very frightening. And that's why I'm here today with the other people here who are concerned about it.
No nuclear power plant is fail-safe. Nothing that man builds is fail-safe. So look what happened in this country, 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, some 40-odd years ago. What happened in Chernobyl, in the Ukraine, which hundreds and hundreds of square miles are no man's land for generations to come, and what has just happened in Japan with Fukushima.
A boycott campaign! A boycott campaign! That included nonviolent direct actions! Got General Electric out of the nuke business! During the 1990s and 80s! But now GE plans to build a new uranium enrichment site! In Wilmington, North Carolina! The State Department and other organizations have raised fears of nuclear proliferation and the technology that GE is developing.
Now our government is always saying that we have to guard against weapons of mass destruction, and we're threatening, we started a war in Iraq over this issue. It turned out to be a bogus issue. And we're threatening Iran, but we're the only country in history that ever used atomic weapons. Now this plant that is this Indian Point nuclear power plant is only 30 miles up the river. It is impossible to evacuate 30 million people if that nuclear power plant should suffer a meltdown. Just look what happens on a typical evening during rush hour when it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. Can you imagine trying to evacuate 30 million people? So that's an impossibility. Now when Fukushima, when that melted down, the United States government advised people to get out of that area in a 50-mile radius. We're only 30 miles from Indian Point. And Indian Point is a ticking bomb. And it could be another Fukushima. What would happen to our country, to the entire world, if Indian Point were killed? We cannot afford to take that risk.
Here today, we're going to have silence. Followed by a melted.
Makes hundreds of pounds of plutonium each year. Enough for dozens of Nagasaki-type bombs. But mostly, plutonium is used in H-bombs to bring the masses of tritium together.
To bring the masses of tritium together.
To make the hydrogen bomb explosion.
To make the hydrogen bomb explosion.
The effects of ionizing radiation
The effects of ionizing radiation
have been known for 100 years.
have been known for 100 years.
Some of us in Occupy were recognizing that the whole world is in an anti-nuclear moment right now. And Occupy hasn't expressly or very significantly been anti-military. And so given that need and given the anti-nuclear moment that we identified, I mean, it's just time to reach out to the rest of Occupy, and that's what we did today. Today we had a national day of action with multiple occupations participating to basically say, like, it's time for the people who are fond of Occupy, or the people who have been organizing within Occupy all of these months, to be against nuclear power, to be against nuclear weapons, to be against nuclear technology, to be against them as a phenomenon for money making and for technology of the 1%. And those are things we are trying to shut down.
So we have to, our government is not going to change because it is totally bought up by these ultra-rich companies.
Yes, this is our local.
The only way our government will change is if massive amounts of people get out in the streets and force the issue like they did in Germany and like they're doing in Japan. And to get out of that two-party political box. When independent parties, independent of big money, start getting more and more votes, yes, they're not going to win elections right away, but when they start to get more and more votes, then maybe the two parties will be forced to start changing out of fear that they'll lose their power.
So you're back here today.
So people have to get involved with all of these organizations that are already set up.
You know, like they were saying to see
Time is running out. We have an economic crisis, but even more important than that, we have an environmental crisis. We may get to the point when there's no turning back.
So a lot of people
that nature can no longer sustain this pollution. We can't wait.
The wind. Right now on the East River, we've got tidal.
So I urge everybody to put this on as their number one priority and get involved in these grassroots organizations.
Not another second, not another hour. We can't live with nuclear power.